Hi everyone, and welcome to another Craftin Desert Divas video on using digital stamps. Now there is another video that is already on the Craftin Desert Divas YouTube channel all about using the CDD digital stamps. However, this is an updated version where I'm only using free programs. So let's go ahead and get started with Paint. So you can open any of your digital stamps, the JPEG or the PNG PNG files in the Paint program. I went ahead and opened up the UMermaid PNG file. I just clicked the File tab, open, that brings up my file folders. I searched through, found the one I wanted, and just double clicked it and it opens right up in the program. Now what I like to use this for, you can print from this program. I like to print from a different program. However, what I like to use the Paint for is to go in and color my images on the computer. So all I do is I use the Paint Bucket tool. I click on that, and over on the right hand side there's the color selector at the very top. I like to click on that little rainbow box, and then I can go in and really customize my colors. Once I have my color selected, I'll just go ahead and click that OK button. That brings up my new custom color, and then I can use my Paint Bucket tool just to drop in that color wherever I want it. Now there are a few spaces on your digital stamps that are going to be a little bit more tiny and harder to get to in those areas. All you need to do is go ahead and zoom in, and I like to just take my little mouse pad on my laptop, spread my fingers apart, and that's going to zoom in. You can also use the zoom tool on that program. That will do the same thing, and you can print from that program. However, I like to print from the Silhouette Studio program, which I am in right now. Now this is a really fun program to use with your digital stamps. It is completely free. There will be a link down in the description box below where you can download this. You don't need the Silhouette machine or anything like that. You can just use the basic software to create some really stunning card fronts. Now whenever I first open a new file, I like to go in the design page settings, and I like to set mine to 8.5 by 11. Now you can set this to your card front size and then go in and just print from that. However, I like to fit as much as possible on my 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock, just so I get more use out of it. That's one thing that really kind of bothers me about Photoshop Elements, which I do still love, but I feel like I have so much wasted paper whenever I use that program. Here, I figured out a way where I get the most out of one sheet of cardstock. So then what I do to make my card front is I go to the left-hand side, and I've got that little square selected right there. I went ahead and drew out a rectangle any size, and then I went back up to the very top, clicked on that little arrow, made sure that that rectangle was selected, which just has that outer box around it. Then I want to go up in the top right hand corner, and I'm going to go ahead and click the scale button. And that is that button right there, and it says open the scale window. I'll go ahead and give that a click, and then that is going to allow me to make that rectangle the exact size of my card front. I'm going to be making a full A2 size card front today, so I'm going to go ahead and make my width 4¼ inches by 5½ inches. Now, once I get that 4¼ inch, I need to go ahead and unclick the lock aspect. That's going to keep it symmetrical to what you've already drawn out. However, I don't want it to do that. I want to be able to set my own settings here, so I just need to make sure that that is unselected. I'll go ahead and put in that 5¼ inches, or 5½ inches, excuse me. Then I'll click the apply button, and now I've got a perfect little A2 sized card front on my 8.5 sheet of paper. Now, I like to go up to that paint tool in the top left hand on the far right side, and I'll just click the white color, and I'll just color that in white so then I can see that that's my card front. I will end up deleting that, but that's just going to give me a nice idea of what I'm working with. Now here you can move it around, place it wherever you want it on that 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, but I'm going to go ahead and start placing my digital stamps. What I do is I go up to File, then I click the Merge button. I search through my files until I find the digital stamp I want. Now Craftin Desert Divas has two colored versions and two uncolored versions that you can print off and color yourself. You have a PNG file and a JPEG file. I like to use the PNG files mostly because then I can layer them up. But I went ahead and selected that long stem rose. It brought it on to my project, and then I can move it around, play with it, size it. And another thing that is awesome about this program is you have the measurements on the left and the bottom. So you know exactly what size this is going to print out to be. There's no guesswork. Now, you also have the ability to turn this whichever way you want to. All you need to do is click that little green circle at the top, and you can turn it to the right, turn it to the left. You can do a full circle with it. However you want to place it on your card front, it will work for you. Now with your digital stamps, you can so easily manipulate them to create a custom card. So I'm going up to the Object drop-down menu, and I'm going to click the mirror and flip this horizontally. That is going to flip my rose around so it's now facing the opposite direction. This is a great way to get those mirror images. So if you've got a little critter and you want a little friend for them, you can just mirror that object, place them together, make sure you're using your PNG files, and then you've got two little critters holding hands. It's so simple and easy to do. You can also flip vertically, so you can have objects like a tree in the water down below. It's really so simple to do. Now, another great little feature I found in this program, I'm going to show you now. I scaled that rose down very small. I'm going to go ahead and go to that same object drop-down menu, and I am going to go to the duplicate option. Now, you can just duplicate one of these. However, one thing that always kind of bugs me about the Photoshop Elements program, I wasn't able to create a whole row of these at once. You can duplicate 4 across, you can duplicate 4 down, and then you can go about and just keep creating your background in a much quicker manner, and everything stays perfectly aligned. So I went ahead and I clicked that rose that I started out with. I'm going to click the duplicate button again, and now I can make a column of 4. Now that's going to drop down, and I want it to go up the card, so I'm actually just going to hold my shift button, click all of those little roses, and then I'll just bring it up to the top. If you want to skip all that, just start in your top left-hand corner and work your way down and to the right of the card. Now, another fun way to create a background is go to that same duplicate option and just click the mirror right option, and that is going to mirror that same little image right to the right of it, same exact size. It's just going to kind of flip it around so it creates a really fun background. And it's as simple as that. Now, if you don't like something, again, with all your digital stamps, you have the option to just click that back button or delete, and no wasted product. So one of my favorite techniques to do with digital stamps is to layer them up. Now this creates a beautiful scene, and you can do it in a snap. All you need are a few digital stamps, or you can use the same one and layer it up over and over again on your card front, print it out, and you've got a beautifully masked scene ready to go. Now for this program, all you need to do is go up to your file option and click the merge button. That will bring up that little file box where you can go in and find your stamp that you want. For this, you will need your PNG files or PNG files, whatever you want to call them. That's going to allow that transparent background to be around the object, and then you're not going to have any overlapping of white areas. It just won't work with your JPEGs, so you do need your PNG files for this particular technique. So I'm using some of the rose digital stamps from the Craftin Desert Divas shop. I use the Garden Rose, the Long Stem Rose, the Blooming Rose, and the Elegant Rose digital stamps. Now, whenever you're layering up your digital stamps, there are going to be times when you put something down and you want it behind another object, but it didn't kind of fall in that order whenever you placed it on. All you need to do is make sure that that object is selected. So on the left hand side, you've got your little arrow selected. Select that object, right click on it, and all you need to do is you can send it to the very back. You can bring it to the very front by clicking bring to front or send to back, or you can send backward and go one layer at a time. Now for this particular card, I'm gonna end up using 2 of the stamps on the very front, and then the other ones I'm actually gonna place around the card front and make different layers of digital stamps. But I wanted to show you that you could print so much off on one page. So I am going to be using the Garden of Roses and the long stem rose on the front panel. So I've placed that Garden of Roses down at the very bottom, hanging off the bottom and also the left and right sides. And then I've got the long stem rose behind that on the right hand side, hanging off that side as well. Now that I've got those placed exactly where I want them, I'm going to group them together so they become one. All I need to do is hold down my shift button, click on both of the separate images, and then right click and click group. That's going to make that one solid group of stamps. Then I can move them around as one. Now if I were to go and print this now, which I will show you, I'll go ahead and pull up a print preview just by selecting File. I've changed my settings to show you the print preview. You can see it does not cut off that bottom portion or the left and right side. In my print preview, you see that I've got that entire digital image. Now you can go in and you can try and eyeball this and kind of use your trimmer just to cut this up however you want to. But I want to show you an easy way to get those lines in there before you print. So the first thing I'm going to do is bring forward that first A2 size panel, white panel that I made. Now I am going to zoom in very, very closely so I can see that red outer binding box on the image. Now, on the left-hand side, I'm going to go over to my knife tool. When I click that, over on the right-hand side, it's going to bring up my knives panel. I've got the poly tool up there. It's the first one's straight, the next one's poly. I'm going to click that. That's going to give me a nice rectangle however I go about doing this. And I'm going to start in the bottom left-hand corner. Now I'll just scroll over. And if you happen to click while you scroll, all you need to go ahead and do is click the back button. Try not to do that, but scroll over once you've clicked your bottom left-hand corner. And I'm just going to follow that line that I created whenever I made that A2 panel. So I'll go ahead and scroll over, line up that little arrow with my bottom line and that right-hand line as well. Then I'll scroll up, line it up again with that little corner. Then I'll scroll back over to my left-hand side, line it up again. And then one last time, this time I don't need to line it up at all. I just need to connect it to that very first little cut that I created. So I'll just go ahead and click on that one, and that has completely cut out my rectangle. Now all I need to do, I'm going to zoom out so you can see what I'm doing here very quickly and kind of reposition my panel here. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I've got my arrow selected up at the top left-hand corner. I'll go ahead and move that panel out of the way now. I don't need it anymore, so I'm just going to delete it by clicking the delete button. And now I can go ahead and move that bottom panel right up, and you can see all those little extras are cut away. I can delete that, and then I can go and position this anywhere I want to on my paper, and it's going to print that panel out. And then I can cut it up however I want to. And I've got those nice straight lines so it can show me where I need my bottom, where I need my right hand side and my left hand side. Now, I'll go ahead and show you when I click the print button again. When it brings up the print preview this time, I've got those nice solid straight lines on the right, the bottom, and the left. I've got no overhang, so I know exactly where to cut now. I'm sure there are other ways to go about doing this. However, this is the easiest way I have found when working on an 8.5 by 11 panel. So once I got that all done, I decided that I wanted to go ahead and print off a few more of those roses on this same panel to kind of fill in all that white space so I could put them all on my finished card. So all I need to do is go back into the file, click the merge button, and the great thing about working on the same panel is I can kind of scale these down to the size I'm going to need to kind of be cohesive with that panel that I've already made. So I went ahead and put the blooming rose on. I scaled that down and then moved it to the bottom left-hand corner. I'm also going to use a long stem rose. This one I'm going to mirror, and I'm going to flip it. I clicked vertically, but I'm actually going to flip it horizontally. I scaled it down, and I also used the elegant rose, and I scaled it down as well. Now, whenever I print, I need to go into my settings and click thicker paper, because I am printing on cardstock with my laser printer. And then I'll just go ahead and click that OK button, and then I can go ahead and print. Now, if you're using a laser printer and you don't go in and change those settings and you don't click that thicker paper, it's not going to put as much toner and it's not going to put as much heat on your paper, so it just won't print your stamps as well. Now, I've gotten a lot of questions about how I feed my paper through my laser printer. I always use the front loader. So I grab my printer down from my very high shelf, I set it on my living room floor, and I'll show you how easily this goes through my printer. So I put my cardstock in my front loader. I never put it in the bottom where it does the automatic feed. I tried it. Every time I tried it, it gets jammed, and I have to go in and fish out my paper. Just put it through your front loader. It will come out the top. You can even set it to where if you have extreme trouble where it shoots out the back. This will give it a little bit of a curl, nothing that's not manageable or that doesn't kind of straighten out over time. But you can see it prints beautifully. You've got those dark, rich lines because I've set that thicker paper on there. And I can color these up and then put them on my card. I hope you guys enjoyed this new video on using the Craftin Desert Divas stamps. There are a few links that you're going to be able to click on the bottom. The bottom left will subscribe you to the Craftin Desert Divas YouTube channel, and the bottom right will take you to another video on using the Craftin Desert Divas digital stamps with Photoshop elements. Thanks so much for watching today.